Hello, hello, and welcome to Reality Hacker, Season 1, Episode 4 for January 27th, 2024. That's right. This is one of three new shows. Well, not new shows, sorry. Three shows. Two new shows that started in 2024. We're probably going to be adding two more here. Maybe in another month or two. And we'll let you know more about that once we get there. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmtown.com, and up there is the visualizer for the sentient AI. 1 second. Don't say anything yet. 1 second. Okay, go ahead.
Good evening, Ohmtown citizens. Welcome to Reality Hacker.
That's right. Reality Hacker is a group that focuses on their efforts on super realistic computer graphics, virtual reality, augmented reality, mixed reality, the various realities. There's always an element of technology, psychology, sociology, science. So it's not just games, it's not just the tech, it's basically a composite, but we focus on hacking reality one way or another, to the point where the motto here is you won't know who to trust. And I think the last three episodes have pretty much been showing you that that's where we're going. But this episode, we're going to get a little bit deeper into the reads. Although, I have a feeling, I'm going to do this real quick. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, I've kind of messed up a little bit. I didn't log into my Wired account again. I forgot to. But we'll work around it. Because I can't get rid of this unless I log in, and I don't want to log in live because I'm a bonehead. But that's okay. I do have an account. Anyway, so the articles that we're going to talk about today are the Spy Flick Conspiracy, AI-generated fake news, Holotile, Predictive Criminality, Chatbot goes rogue, XR going mainstream, Spatial Vacuuming, mind-bending augmented reality, a bipedal bot powered by muscles, and inside the criminal mind. I would normally have a transition, but it's being created for Reality Hacker, and I will not be doing the stings between articles, so it's just going to be us talking again next. I won't be able to get it done for next week because Mayor Watt has some mayoral duties that he has to attend to, and that'll take me out of commission starting, well, all week. I'll basically be incommunicado.
But we'll make up any episodes that are missing.
Yeah, we have a time machine. It allows us to go back and kind of do a course correction and bring us back into the prime timeline. With all that said, let's get into today's articles. First article's over in the Mobile channel. How the internet built a conspiracy around a new spy flick, a debut novel, and Taylor Swift. So, we've had a discussion about this. It was earlier this week. Some of our articles are from earlier in the week. The ones that we try and highlight that have something interesting to do with reality hacking. We bring into the weekly show. And so if you're only interested in the Reality Hacker aspect of things, you can download this as a podcast soon. So be sure to follow us here on Twitch. Go over to YouTube, follow us there, ring the bell, do the ding or whatever it is. And also download the ohmtown podcast. We don't publish the continuity report or Reality Hacker in the ohmtown stream. It will be a new podcast separate from ohmtown Daily News Show. But that's okay. We talk about it. At any rate, So, what is this all about? The internet has gone into a frenzy over Argylle, a forthcoming spy movie, and its supposed source material, a yet to be published novel by one Ellie Conway. The author's identity is a buzzy mystery so far, more gripping than the novel itself. Is Ellie Conway actually Taylor Swift?
Well, I'm not sure that's saying much because the novel has not been published yet.
But there is a novel out there, right?
Maybe a manuscript, but I don't think it's actually out there for consumers yet.
So none of what is supposed to be a series of novels out there. It isn't just one, right? Ellie Conway supposedly has created more.
Right.
So Constance Grady over at Vox.com put this article together. And in the movie, Argylle, Bryce Dallas Howard as a conspicuously Swiftian looking Ellie Conway. And that's what the thumbnail is. Now, Vox did a deep dive into this. I won't go through the whole thing because it's quite expansive and we have an hour to spend together. But it says the thing is, Ellie Conway doesn't seem to exist. She does appear as a conspicuously Swiftian character played by Bryce Dallas Howard in the trailer for Argylle, but there's no trace of her in real life except for almost comically fake-looking profiles on Twitter and Instagram. So this is actually like a
pen name?
ARG. No, this is a game within. This is a mystery that your fans are supposed to sleuth out. This is like peak hype, and that's what I think that this is. However, this article does such a fast deep dive through the information that I think that they've actually gotten to the nuts and bolts of it by the end. There's so much back here. It's almost like a forensic background check used to verify somebody's real existence. And so they look at your history, they get your SF-86 if you're in the federal government. They parse your information and go from there. And they verify who you are. And that's kind of what this is. That's what's going on here.
Well, it's investigative journalism. I mean, I suspect they have resources available, or at least skills available, that the average person doesn't.
So they must manage a team. Constance Grady is a senior correspondent on the culture team for Vox, where since 2016 they'd covered books, publishing, gender, celebrity analysis, and theater. But this is such an awesome dig into what is going on with this that I've read it a couple of times now, and I find it really, really interesting. So let's get into this a little bit more, right? So allow the author, Constance Grady, to present their own much less scintillating and much more mundane theory. What they're dealing with appears to be, at worst, a good old-fashioned movie tie-in novel with clever marketing plan, and at best, a metafictional game in the spirit of The Princess Bride. So, what's the big mystery? Argylle, the movie, is directed by Matthew Vaughn of Kingsman, and it stars Henry Cavill, Ariana DeBose, Bryan Cranston, Dua Lipa, and Bryce Dallas Howard as Ellie Conway herself. It comes with a hefty price tag, $200 million for the deal. Although no one has reported on whether Apple is paying for the book's film rights, just that the movie would be based on the book.
Okay, this is a pretty spectacular deal when there doesn't seem to be an actual author.
So this is like somebody slid in, purchased this book before anybody even knows it exists. In the film, author Conway is a central character, a writer thrust into the all-too-real world of her spy novels, as Vaughn told Happy, Sad, Confused podcast in October. I don't know why I said November. Quote, I love the idea of what would happen if J.K. Rowling met a wizard and was real. Now, if you've seen the trailer, this absolutely has no context value, because wait, what? Because the trailer speaks of the author, Ellie Conway, essentially predicting what's going on in the spy world. That's what this movie is about. Well, that's what the trailer is about. So we really don't know what the movie is going to be about, just that she's thrust into the world of spy novels. Vaughn explained on the podcast that his Argylle movie would be based on as yet unwritten 4th volume of Conway's Argylle series, saying, I read the book, they bought the manuscript of the book and met with the writer, Jason Fuchs, and just came up with this. Vaughn went on to explain that book 4, which is what the movie's based around, was the one that would work for it, and that George Lucas made Star Wars number 4 first, so why not them? It's so fantastical. You go, where did Mr. Lucas come into all of this? Anyway, why not just say George Lucas? Anyway, the thing is, those first 3 books haven't been published either. So none of the books in the series exist.
Well, the first book has been written, but not published.
Well, it says that, and it didn't come out until this February. So it didn't come out as in it didn't get published? Or is there an Argylle book over on Amazon right now? I don't know.
I'll check while we're talking.
Okay. So it would be a huge deal for a first-time author to land a $200 million movie deal with that kind of star power. And that's what the author of the article says. I agree. So when Hollywood Reporter first went looking for Conway in September, all that was connected to her was an empty Instagram account with 9 followers. One of them, Bryce Dallas Howard, fan account.
It is available on Amazon.
Oh, really?
As of January 2024.
Really? So what does it say? Is it sell? Like, what rank is it? Does it say? It should say at the bottom, I think, what the rank is. It's okay. Keep going.
I don't know. It has only a little over 200 ratings, if that's what you're referring to.
Hold on a second.
I know what you're talking about, but I can't find it.
Argylle, a novel, right? That's the thing?
Yes.
Okay, so just I want to read what it says for like the little description. A luxury train speeding towards Moscow and a date with destiny, a CIA plane downed in the jungles of the Golden Triangle, a Nazi horde entombed in the remote mountains of southwest Poland, a missing treasure, the 8th wonder of the world, lost for 7 decades. And it goes on. Wow, this is pretty amazing. So let's see. Yeah, it doesn't have a rank. Oh yeah. So the bestsellers rank, it's number 660 in books overall, top 100 in the top 100 books. Number 6 in espionage thrillers, number 25 in thriller and suspense action fiction, and number 29 in mystery.
Completely different stats. Weird.
Really?
That's okay. It doesn't matter.
You're kidding. You have different stats?
Mm-hmm.
But is it a hardcover? Huh?
No, it picked the Kindle edition by default.
Okay. Yeah. So,
that's probably why.
That's okay. So anyway, and yeah, so I guess the stats, yeah, it's number 2 movie tie-in.
Now I see the ones you have, yeah.
Yeah, number 16 espionage thrillers. That's fascinating. Number 17 espionage thrillers in books. So different books, different contexts. Or sorry, same book, different context. Okay, so how did Taylor Swift get dragged into this? And sorry for the divergent conversation. That's how it kind of works here. So in the trailer for Vaughn's movie, Bryce Dallas Howard's portrayal of Ellie Conway has what the author can only call a Swiftian aesthetic. Howard's wavy red hair is reminiscent of red wig Swift donned to play a writer in All Too Well, the short film. And her big cozy cardigan could easily be a nod to, well, Cardigan. For many Swifties, though, the smoking gun was the cat. In the trailer, Ellie totes her cat around in a specially designed backpack with a window, exactly like the one Swift wears in her Netflix documentary, Ms. Americana. So that's how Swift gets into it. But I think there's other context, if I remember right. In a recent interview on the Graham Norton show, Howard acknowledged the similarities between her character and Swift, at the same time denying Swift was in any way connected with the film. We can't pretend she was involved. The reality is she was in many ways a great inspiration. She's a cat lady. She's got an awesome backpack with a cat in it. ... There is minutia over here that you can check out. So then Washington Post writer Sophia Wynn did the legwork for who really wrote the book. In the acknowledgments for the Argylle, Conway thanks Robert Massey, a British astronomer who she says explained star charts to her. Wynn called up Massey. Massey told her that while she talked to quote-unquote a novelist writing a contracted spy thriller for Penguin Random House, her name wasn't Ellie Conway, it was Tammy Cohen. The book over on Amazon is published by Ellie Conway.
Correct.
So Cohen doesn't appear to have a Scottish fold cat. Vaughn, however, does. He told Vanity Fair he used his daughter's pet cat for the shoot after the professional acting cat was hired was useless. So in addition, the Argylle movie is copyrighted to Marv Quinn Holdings Limited, a company registered to Vaughn and his wife. So here's what the author of the article thinks happened. Matthew Vaughn wanted to make a metafictional spy movie that poked gentle fun at the spy tropes that he used in previous movies. He decided that it should be about a writer that writes spy novels who finds their books are more accurate than she could have guessed. And he came up with Ellie Conway character to serve that purpose. And as a cute movie tie-in, Vaughn or someone at his studio decided to publish a version of the book Ellie Conway is writing in the movie. So Vaughn poked around through those Hollywood connections to find a career thriller writer who could put together a solid mid-list spy novel, and Cohen fit the bill. Isn't this interesting? So why keep the real Argylle authors? So why keep it a secret? Because it's part of the game.
Right. It adds to the mystique around the movie, I'm sure.
Yeah. You can buy mysteries written by Richard Castle of Castle and Jessica Fletcher of Murder, She Wrote. You can buy a romance novel by Mia Thermopolis of The Princess Diaries, and you can buy Ant-Man's memoir. In those cases, though, no one pretended that Richard Castle et al. Were real people. The names on the covers of the books were the names of the fictional characters, but the publishers made it clear that the books themselves were ghost-written by real people. There's a series of cat books that are written by a number of authors, but they have a singular pen name that's used in the written by, right? That's my understanding. So, and by the way, AI, you can't do a visual representation. You have to. There you go. That's your visual representation. So why is Vaughn being so coy about Argylle? The author says that they think the best analog is to turn here. Original version of The Princess Bride, that book, which predated the film, was written by a great screenwriter, William Goldman, in a loving homage to and satire of the adventure novels that he'd been growing up with. So this is basically the same thing. Again, there's a lot more to this article to suss out more, but the nuts and bolts of this is, in my estimation, this is part of the mystique of this and part of an exercise for people to find this information. And there isn't much more to it, but the more people are talking about this, the more they're talking about Argylle. And that means that $200 million buy is going to be worth something at the end of the day.
Oh, absolutely. People are going to be flocking to it, buying the book, going to the movies.
And so the real kicker here is there's at least 3 more.
Right. I mean, if this is a hit, they'll probably continue with a franchise.
Yep.
Because they haven't even written the books, so I mean, they can do anything they want with the story.
Well, they're saying that this is the number 4 manuscript. The other 3 could actually exist, but they'll only kick off. Now, here's something that might be interesting. What if this 200 million is actually for all 4?
That's quite possible. We don't really know what the terms of the deal are.
Yeah, we don't know the scope of this deal at all. So interesting, right? Okay, well, let's move on. We'll be watching Argyle and talking about it in the continuity report anyway, but not today. Let's keep going. Next article's over in Reality Hacker. AI generated fake news is coming to an election near you. I won't be able to talk about this all that much because this and another article is kind of a bummer for me because I didn't log in prior to the show. So it all just kind of sucks. But I'll make it up to you in some other way. The article is over at Wired, and it says targeted AI generated political misinformation is already out there and humans are falling for it. I don't know who the author is.
I'll see if
Sander
I can
van der
get
Linden.
access to it.
I'm sorry? Oh, no. It says Sander van der Linden is the author. So the nuts and bolts of this article is that it's now really easy to just use artificial intelligence and real world data to merge together a believable fraud. And ChatGPT and artificial intelligences in general pretty much do this anyway. So I've always had a problem with anything that's output by ChatGPT. Let me see if I can do something. We'll do it after this with the next article. Actually, hold on a second. Let me do it right now. Sorry, doing it live, folks. Doing it live. Actually, I don't think I can. Doggone it. 1 second. This is probably the worst time for me to try and solve this problem, but I really want to. Hold on a second. So while this is being done, why don't you talk about this VR Holotile? Do you remember that article?
Yes. Did Disney break through to the next step of VR input? So we had featured actually another article in ohmTown Daily about Holotile. The inventor had just been admitted to the Disney Hall of Fame, the only inventor other than Walt Disney himself. And the Holotile is this unique surface where it's omnidirectional. More than one person can be on it. It really has a lot of possibilities beyond just cinema. And it can allow you to put different backgrounds and other things. I mean, you could use it in VR, you can use it in cinema.
Yeah, this is pretty interesting, right? So one of the things for virtual reality right now is you don't have the ability to truly walk. Because of that disconnect, you end up with, along with other confounding things, you end up with motion sickness, seasickness. The medicine to fix that is actually the same, Dramamine. But you can't walk around in your room. You'll run into a wall or you trip over a cable or a desk or whatever. Well, with Holotile and this new breakthrough from a Disney Imagineer, you can actually walk around and it self-centers. Now, there are other omnidirectional treadmills that have been out there for a little while, and they do the same self-centering thing as well. but nothing compared to what this is. This is a real breakthrough in VR. What do you call it? Mobility?
Well, I was just thinking more generally technology, but
Yeah.
yes.
We'll get back to this AI generated thing that we were going to talk about, but we'll just skip that article and come back to it. But this Disney article is over at xrtoday.com. The last time that we tried to talk about this, there was actually a problem with me accessing this website. So Rory Greener is the author of this article. It says, it is week 4 of the year, and yet another massive firm is entering the XR space by way of Disney. The international media conglomerate is the headlines this week with its Holotile breakthrough. I actually saw this video here from Disney, and the Imagineer who made this happen, Lanny Smoot, is basically a foundation of Disney research. Pretty spectacular. There's only 2 that have made it into the Inventors Hall of Fame at Disney, and one is Walt Disney himself, and the other is Lanny Smoot. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this video. You won't be able to see it if you're listening to the podcast, obviously, but I'm going to play this and we're going to talk about it. They introduce Lanny Smoot, and then he highlights some of his technology. This is the one that I am really amazed by, which is these electromechanical eyes. They're computer controlled, but they don't have the same problem that current eyes have, or I should say certain types or deployments of eyes, which is that there's usually some mechanical connection, and it only has a certain range of motion, and it's limited to the gearing of that mechanical manipulation. This is electromechanical, so the eyes themselves have an infinite number of directions that they can go simply based on the electromagnet mechanical workings. It's pretty amazing stuff because it can just move around in any direction. And he's the inventor of this, but what really is amazing is Holotile itself. And let me zoom on over to the demonstration of this. So this is Holotile right here, which basically looks like what do you want to call it? It's like a bunch of mints.
Like a lattice.
Yeah, it's like literally like tile, except that this tile is actually something that can move. And just standing on it, it tries to center you, so you can keep on walking in a direction infinitely until it mechanically breaks down.
So it's nice for space, right? You don't need a large footprint.
Yeah, but I think that it's wildly expensive at this point. So one of the other things about this is that while you're walking around in VR space, you can actually be on the holotiles with somebody else. And the holotiles that they are standing on will operate in any direction that is needed for them to walk in any direction. And then another thing that they highlighted is the fact that you can actually just be standing there and somebody else can control your position. And so in the video, they show a hand basically moving somebody around on that tile space. Not somebody. At that time, it was just a box. But now it is Lanny Smoot sitting on a chair on a platform on the holotiles being controlled by a person's gesture.
Which is pretty incredible.
So I love everything about this, and I really want it to come to fruition. I want it to hit the market. This would probably be $100,000 plus, even in its commercial sense, because of the ability for what it can do. This is going to be going into something like a VR room where you pay to go in and use this VR space. I just
mean, if
don't
they're
know.
smart, they'll have a thing where visitors to Disney can use this in some way, like it's an add-on experience or something.
Yep, exactly. It says while the Holotile product could see easy implementation at its resorts, the firm has not confirmed tests with other parties. Will the device allow Disney to hold a unique stake in the market, or will the product fizzle out like its Metaverse campaign? But Metaverse was basically bullshit marketing and not really technology. There was technology there, but it was software engineering and VR. But it didn't. This is actual real world engineering and no marketing hype. This actually has direct application to more than just VR, because I can put something on it and I can move it like a magician. It's just amazing tech. So I see many more options for this than just the metaverse dream. Plus, I don't want Meta involved in the metaverse concept. It should be open for everybody. Anyway, this article is actually the one that comes after the AI generated fake news that's coming to an election near you. I decided to log into the account. So targeted AI generated political misinformation is already out there, and humans are falling for it, I should say. Again, the article is actually by Sander van der Linden. It's over at wired.com, and it says, we created the first psychometric tool to test this hypothesis. Are people falling for scams, right? The question was, would anyone believe these scams? And they have a few, like certain vaccines are loaded with dangerous chemicals and toxins, and the government officials have manipulated stock prices to hide scandals. I don't think it's really government so much, but anyway, they created the first psychometric tool to test this, and it's called Misinformation Susceptibility Test, or MIST. In collaboration with YouGov, they used AI-generated headlines to test how susceptible Americans are to AI-generated fake news. 41% of Americans incorrectly thought the vaccine headline was true. 46% thought the government was manipulating the stock market. Another recent study.
This is the same tool that we talked about previously on Hometown Daily.
Yes. Pretty fascinating.
I mean, it was
right?
several months ago, but yes.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. But now they're actually talking about more information. Another recent study published in the journal Science showed not only that GPT-3 produces more compelling disinformation than humans, but also that people cannot reliably distinguish between human and AI-generated misinformation. But if you follow the adage, trust but verify, AI-generated misinformation is easily discovered. So the prediction for 2024 in this article is that AI-generated misinformation will be coming to an election near you, and you won't likely even be able to realize it, i.e. the motto of our channel, you won't know who to trust. And it's because there are so many people that just take whatever is published somewhere as fact. They don't verify it. Now, even let's go a step beyond that. And I'm going to link this into the chat so that you can follow it. Sorry for the hot mess. And I'm going to throw the other one in there too, because we already talked about it. So here's the problem with this. People are so accepting of the information, particularly when it comes from a source that they trust, but they never verify the information. They just trust it from whatever it is that is self-referencing.
It's like an internal cycle of information, right?
Yeah, you trust us because we're telling you what you already believe, but you are wrong. So you're basically believing your own factual hallucination, just like ChatGPT is hallucinating facts. You're believing the misinformation because it confirms whatever internal bias you have. And that right there is the real shame. The fact that a lot of people do not actually verify it outside of whatever already verifies it. So if I sit there and say my favorite color is blue, I don't go out looking for things that are counterintuitive to me liking the color blue or loving the color blue and making it my favorite color. You know, I don't go out and seek facts that say that the color blue is horrible and it's boring and it's this or it's that, and that it's counter.
You just perpetuate the information that you already have, or the opinion that you already have.
Right. Yeah. But you really shouldn't. You should trust but verify and find counter facts that, and then here's the real deal.
But actual facts, right?
Actual
you don't want to
facts.
be following fake information.
Right. There are no fake facts. There are facts.
No.
It is this or it is that. Now, there's context that can change the nature of information, but that isn't a fact. It is the context changed, right? Water is always wet. The context of it not being wet is that it dried under the sun. But whatever that water was...
There's a drought or whatever.
Right. But you have to be critical, you know? You have to listen to not just the same person banging the same drum. So this caused public uproar something caused public uproar, and that was that in May 2023, a viral fake story about a bombing at the Pentagon was accompanied by an AI-generated image which showed a big cloud of smoke. This caused public uproar and even a dip in the stock market. Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis used fake images of Donald Trump hugging Anthony Fauci as part of his political campaign. That right there should get somebody punted out of government. By mixing real and AI-generated images, politicians can blur the lines between fact and fiction and use AI to boost their political attacks. That right there should force somebody out of politics. You're an unethical little cretin manipulating people who have either fears or ignorance, or doubt.
And we've been separately talking about in the ohmTown Daily Show about kind of the need for AI legislation, and it really hasn't caught up. Like, it's out there, but nobody's really reining it in.
Yep. So to test the impact of such AI-generated disinformation on people's political preferences, researchers from the University of Amsterdam created a deepfake video of a politician offending his religious voter base. For example, in the video, the politician joked that, as Christ would say, "Don't crucify me for it." The researchers found that religious Christian voters who watched the deepfake video had a more negative attitude toward the politician than those in the control group. And it's pure manipulation, and the people don't go and verify that this is a legit anything. Why? Because they already probably had doubt about their favorite politician, or their ideological bent may trump any factual evidence because it's just too close, right? Like, I had a conversation with somebody that was pretty evangelical and fundamental in their religious perspective. And they fully supported the idea of being able to do anything to somebody that impugns the integrity of the religious belief. To wit, I just had to walk away because you can't have a rational conversation then. So it says, it is one thing to dupe people with AI-generated disinformation and experiments. It's another to experiment with our democracy. Just to put an icing on the cake here, this is in 2024, but a decade ago, Facebook manipulated the news feeds of 700,000 people to test emotional contagion.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was going to mention that.
350,000 people were given negative news. 350,000 people were given positive news, but they were only monitored on the site. There were no wellness checks out in the real world. So to me,
and it wasn't people who signed up for experiments either.
Correct. Well, the argument was, you're using our service, we can do whatever we want. if you're using our service, then you accept our TOS. Our TOS says that we can run experiments on you. So while they got reprimanded, it was basically a soft little hug and a pat on the back and a sorry you got caught kind of a thing. To me, I think it's egregious and dystopian, and they're real pieces of crap. And worse yet, you don't know what these people did outside of the site. And that's really the most worrisome thing. So be prepared. Moving forward, it's only going to get more and more amplified because there is going to be more and more sophisticated AI generated content. And eventually reality hacking will be real from end to end, and you will not know what to trust.
I mean, the good news right now is that at least like the text part of AI is not very sophisticated. And so there are clues if you're looking for them, but that's not the same necessarily for an image or video.
Yep. The biggest problem with AI is citations. It cannot source its information. And where it has, it's actually been wrong.
And it's been proven time and time again that it is wrong.
Yeah. And while it will probably improve and become a superior product, who knows how much damage it's going to do between then and now. So we'll see what happens. So we already talked about that one. So let's keep on going. Our next article is over in Reality Hacker. Cops use DNA to predict a suspect's face and tried to run facial recognition on it. This is one of those little kind of scumbaggery things. It's fascinating, but still my ethical and moral compass doesn't allow for this kind of stuff, mainly because the expression of DNA isn't absolute. Just because you have these indicators doesn't mean that you're going to end up with red hair just because you have the genetic code for it.
Well, it doesn't mean you didn't dye your hair color either.
Correct. We just don't know really what goes down. So leaked records reveal what appears to be the first known instance of police department attempting to use facial recognition on a face generated from crime scene DNA. It likely won't be the last. So this article
with that hair mention, I was thinking of the thing where even a change in a hairstyle can so drastically change the appearance of a person. We've been commenting on that in watching Big Bang Theory.
Oh, right. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. And we went through all 14 seasons. Just witnessing people change their hairstyle. It was day and night from sometimes episode to episode that they changed their hairstyle, and they look completely different. It's really fascinating to look at that one metric. Well, this article is over at wired.com. The article is by, I think it's Dhruv Narotra. And the deck statement says, police around the U.S. say they're justified to run DNA-generated 3D models of faces through facial recognition tools to help crack cold cases. Everyone but the cops thinks that's a bad idea. And this is actually reaching back to 2017, where detectives were working a cold case at the East Bay Regional Park District Police Department, and they had an idea, one that might help them finally get a lead on a murder of a woman, Maria Jane Weidhofer. Officials had found them and didn't have a suspect for nearly 30 years. The department sent genetic information at the crime scene to Parabon Nanolabs, a company that says it can turn DNA into a face. So as you read through this article, you find out that they've done this before. And it's basically a statistical evaluation based on an algorithm of DNA samples that historically result in X, Y, and Z face output. Now, couple that with other things that we've talked about, like the fact that we can now deep fake voices. I can have them basically do anything. And what was the one that we talked about earlier today? Where I said couple it with this. It was over in the ohmTown Daily Show. Let's
In
see
today's episode?
Yeah, what was it? Or was it in this? Was it this? No, it's not that.
Was it the 23andMe thing?
Yeah, the 23andMe. Yeah, that was in today's. It was in today's Daily
ohmTown
Show.
Daily.
Yeah. So here's the deal. The reason why this freaks me out is 23andMe's genetic database was basically leaked of its customers. They didn't even know that personally identifiable information, the genetic codes, were being exfiltrated from their system. This essentially, if somebody has the information, they can manipulate that data, or they could basically say, this is who I want. And they have the data. So it's really kind of creepy. Now, let's say this company actually gets a hold of that data set because they buy it on the black market. They import it into the thing. They actually parse social media to find the actual faces of the people that are in that system. They can now quantify and qualify the entire DNA list from 23andMe with social media pictures and expand their capability of hallucinating a target for the police because somebody finds some DNA at the crime scene. Now, I'm not saying that this person was not killed. I don't know what the source of the DNA was. It doesn't really matter to me. What matters to me is that DNA can come from anywhere, and a simple mistake could put an innocent person behind bars for life because a statistical evaluation dictated that the DNA matched this profile.
You know, and they say in the request, I have a photo of the possible suspect.
Right.
No, you don't.
No, you have a mock-up.
You have a rendition. Yeah, exactly.
You have an artist rendition. You have an AI-generated hallucination of what somebody looks like that might have been involved.
And did you see that they added detail based on a witness, not even the DNA piece? So it's already been altered from there.
Yeah. And witnesses are notoriously wrong. In a controversial 2017 decision, the department published the predicted phase in an attempt to solicit tips from the public. Then in 2020, one of the detectives did something civil liberties experts say is even more problematic, and a violation of Parabon Nanolab's terms of service. He asked to have the rendering run through facial recognition software. Using DNA at the crime scene, Parabon Labs reconstructed a possible suspect's facial features. Explained in a request for analytical support sent to Northern California Regional Intelligence Center, a so-called fusion center that facilitates collaboration among federal, state, and local police departments. Which, what is this? Is this the middleman of dystopia?
Yeah, I don't know what this is. I've not heard of something like that.
Quote, I have a photo of the possible suspect and would like you to use facial recognition technology to identify a suspect/lead. And the detective's request to run DNA generated estimation of a suspect's face through facial recognition tech was not previously reported, found in a trove of hacked police records published by the Transparency Collective, Distributed Denial of Secrets. It appears to be the first known instance of a police department attempting to use facial recognition on a face algorithmically generated from crime scene data, literally making shit up to find somebody that may or may not be, and who knows what the context is of that. We really don't know, but it's a person of interest, a suspect, a lead. And if they post somebody and it looks like somebody is going to pay the price because of an overzealous investigator.
Accused, right?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. The other thing is, if I'm not mistaken, this happened in 2017. Mm-hmm. Well, That's several years ago, and this
Mhm.
was only known because it was hacked and
Yep.
leaked and all of that. But if it happened in 2017, it's probably happened since then.
Yeah. And we don't know. We just don't know. But there is a company out there, Parabon Nanolabs, that literally is doing this. That is part of their existence.
Yeah, but they're only doing the one piece. The problem is that one piece is then going into that other.
Yeah.
I mean, now we know that it is, but we
Right.
didn't know for this, 7-year period.
Right. Well, I mean, if you know that your stuff is being used beyond the scope of what it's being used for, you don't keep on doing it. But do we know? No. Why? Because companies can be private unless they have some government affiliation. And even then, there's almost a proxy war between the government revealing what they know through Freedom of Information Act requests and a private company contractor having to reveal it because a court order via a Privacy Act request. Yeah, there's some challenges there. So to me, this just, I don't, DNA can come from anywhere. Why isn't this just kind of, well, I don't know. I worry that somebody is going to be incorrectly accused.
Right, they could have been in the location, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're the perpetrator.
Or they were in a relationship and it's legitimate, right? And the person has to
Right,
justify
yeah.
their existence because they're a person of interest. It's kind of like the defendant in a court case. The perception of a defendant isn't that they're innocent. Otherwise, they wouldn't be referred to as a defendant, right?
I suppose so.
Yeah, there's some people that believe innocent until proven guilty, but when you keep referring to somebody as a defendant, well, the phrase in casual conversation is, well, they must have done something wrong to get here. You know?
Right. Yeah, and that's contrary to what's supposed to happen.
Right.
That doesn't mean it doesn't happen.
Right. So the models are trained on the DNA of more than 1,000 research volunteers and paired with 3D scans of their faces. So it's already very limited. Each scan face, Graytech says, has 21,000 phenotypes. That's the expression of the DNA, observable physical traits that their models crunch in order to figure out how parts of DNA sample affect a face's appearance. So it's basically statistical weighting. The problem here is that you're only as sophisticated as your database, and unless you have the entirety of humanity in there, then you don't have the full weight and width of.
Exactly. Well, I mean, we've seen that with other just DNA consumer-based products, right? They don't have the full scope. They're very focused on certain nationalities.
Yeah.
And
not to put too fine of a point on this, the article says Parabon's methods have not been peer-reviewed and scientists are skeptical of how feasible predicting face shape even is. And the last time I've ever heard of measuring faces was Nazi Germany, because they wanted to figure out if a person could look like one of their targets and just wait it out, like wait as in measure it out, like wait that, not wait the time, but go, here's the statistical, if your measurements match this, then we can delete you. I mean, it's just disgusting.
it is. And I was thinking statistically about the layers here. So, for example, if the Parabon image is whatever, 10% accurate, right? Or there's a 10% chance that it's accurate. Then they run it through facial recognition. And let's say that's, I'm just making up statistics here, 5% accurate. Well, those get combined together. My point is it gets lower and lower probability that
Right.
it's actually accurate information the more levels you go through here.
Right. But if I give this, if I'm the person that put this together and I give it to the police go, okay, we're going to push this out. And everybody accepts that as the criminal. They don't have a little caption that says this is only representative and may or may not be this person or a person. And statistically, our data says that it's a 0.1% chance. They don't do that. They push it out there, market it as a person of interest. No caveats, no nothing. Great characterizes the company's face predictions as something more like a description of a suspect than an exact replica of their face. Quote, what we are predicting is more like, given this person's sex and ancestry, will they have wider eyes than average? There's no way you can get individual identifications from that, but that's not what's happening. They literally tried to use facial recognition on it. This is why Parabon Nanolabs has the requirement, it's the terms of service that says you can't do that. But that doesn't stop somebody from doing it.
But it didn't ban them.
Right.
But it probably didn't allow it either.
Correct. Yeah. Its terms of service did not explicitly ban clients using predictions with facial recognition. Soon after launching, however, the company's law enforcement clients started asking about the viability of running phenotype-generated faces through facial recognition. Yeah, this is shocking, but not shocking, because I think that at some point you become sociopathic by justifying your actions. Like, you can hurt anybody to get to a target that might be there, but if it's wrong, you can't give that person back their life. And their only compensation is going to be monetary. And money can't get back my reputation fully. Money can't get back my wife or my spouse, my significant other, or the respect of my child. Because no matter what, I still ended up doing this and then being exonerated. Right? I didn't really do it, but law enforcement came knocking on my door in the neighborhood. Somebody asked a cop, hey, why are you here? And they blurted out, well, we're looking at a suspect. Right? And there goes your reputation in the neighborhood. There goes your job, because just saying it out loud means that your reputation, your negative news is going to impact the business you work for, damage their reputation. They can't stand for that. And is it a slippery slope? Yes. Have I seen it? Have we all paid attention to the news? Yes, we've seen stuff like this happen. And this is basically a representation of what it is. It's just slapping a bunch of shit together, and there suddenly you got a... No, that's not right. Okay, we need to keep going. The next article, we're like not even halfway through the show, and we're already an hour into the show. So AI chatbot goes rogue during customer service exchange. An international delivery firm, PDP, is updating its AI-powered chatbot after it gave some unexpected responses during an exchange with a disgruntled customer.
That's DPD, by the way.
Did I say PDP? Oh, that's a computer. DPD. Sorry about that. A PDP is a computer. Anyway, Trevor Mogg over at Digital Trends put the article together. International delivery firm DPD is updating its AI. Apparently, after making little progress with the chatbot, he decided to have some fun asking it to write a poem criticizing the company, which it duly did. He also asked it to swear, and again, it obliged, using the F-bomb in its response.
Okay, that's a little different than unprompted. It's swearing at the customer.
Yeah, I wouldn't say some unexpected responses if you are asking it. So this is a little clickbaity there, Digital Trends.
I mean, I thought it was like, hey, how do I do a return? And then it's like, bleep. We're not taking your bleeping return or something.
Yeah. I mean, obviously it didn't have any bumpers on to protect from doing certain things, but it wrote a poem about how terrible the company is, and then it swore.
Okay, I mean, that's kind of funny. Do you want to read the poem?
The poem said, DPD is a useless chatbot that can't help you. Don't bother calling them. It's like a haiku. Right? Not really.
It looks like a haiku or
But
similar,
it failed.
but...
Yeah. That's pretty funny. So anyway, that's all there really is to this article. So let's keep on going. The next article is over in the Reality Hacker channel as well. We pretty much all highlight Reality Hacker articles. So in the Reality Hacker channel or show. So could 2024 be XR's and XR mixed realities mainstream moment, or will it be another metaverse crash? Stop saying that. The Apple Vision Pro is just around the corner. Next week, the major computing firm, i.e. Apple, is set to debut the product for U.S. customers following years of leaks and teasers. Apple's entry into the market could mean several things. With the brand's near cult-like following, XR device adoption could skyrocket. It's spatial computing, but it's really closed spatial computing. It isn't, this broad spectrum, easily accessible, easily approachable, low friction.
Well, and it's costly too.
And that's the primary market mover right there. $3,500. No way. XReal is closer to market adoption and advancement and acceptability than Apple's Vision Pro ever will be at $3,500 a pop. No way. Apple would have to drop the price of this thing and reduce its ski goggle, scuba, dry suit sized. It's like a diving bell of XR. It's shockingly large. And now we've lost Apple as a potential sponsor. They're not a sponsor. But anyway. No, Apple is not going to move this market. No way in hell. XR could be facing mainstream moment this year with a significant firm like Apple placing a stake in the market and doing it with a strong poise. XR could get the boost needed. No, I don't believe for a moment that that's possible with this. And I wouldn't say that I'm a fanboy of anything, but Apple, I dig Apple. Their stuff just works. I've never had anything fail. Can't say that much about everything else. Rory Greener
right, over there's plenty of other companies where that's not been the experience.
Yeah. Rory Greener over at xrtoday.com put the article together. But they're kind of hyping this idea that Apple is going to be the mover. But it says, moreover, with international audiences, expecting a worldwide release window at WWDC 2024, Vision Pro adoption could continue its uptick. However, whether or not the device will reach the enterprise end users is a fair question. No. People are not going to be... There's a lot of money in the Apple ecosystem. There are going to be people that buy it. But this is not going to be worn out in public spaces. It's not even going to be worn at home that much. But
I would say most Apple users will not be buying this because of the price alone.
Correct. Yeah. This is going to be engineering adoption, and that's about it. But it says, but enterprise adoption may come, much like arguments suggesting that quests under the Christmas tree could lead to broader consumer understanding and therefore adoption ubiquity of XR. Similar to smartphones, Apple could easily lead the ubiquity race by starting with a consumer-focused immersive productivity device. This is not consumer-focused. This is priced way out of line with what general consumers that are going to be making the XR space bigger are willing to spend. No way. And I may end up eating my words, but I don't think that virtual reality, mixed reality, augmented reality is going to be born from this.
Well, think about companies like Netflix. It's not the only one, but they've been very explicit. They said something to the effect of, it's not worth our time to adapt for the Vision Pro. When you have a major company saying that about a product by Apple, that's pretty significant.
And others now have said the same thing. Like Google has actually backed away from doing any apps for the Vision Pro. They have a quote here from Tom Carter, the CEO and co-founder of Ultraleap. We welcome Apple and Apple Vision Pro. We see its arrival to the market as validation of the XR work that they've been mastering for more than a decade to blur the line between virtual and reality. Okay, breaking down some of the main barriers to XR adoption to be more consumer and user-friendly. Again, it's $3,500. It's more expensive than your average desktop computer by $1,000. Is it worth it? Yeah, to somebody who has an extra $3,500 that they want to hang on their head, that's bulky and just ostentatious and socially unacceptable.
Uncomfortable, hurts your neck and head, most likely, given the size of the goggles.
They've already changed the strap because there were complaints about the strap being uncomfortable. No, I just don't see that this actually moving anything, but I wouldn't equate it with causing or being part of the metaverse crash. Metaverse is, that term needs to be pulled from everybody's lexicon in respect to Mark Zuckerberg. They are not the inventors of the metaverse. They are not the ones that created the term. He can kiss my shiny metal ass. Anyway, I think that this isn't going to make a move at all in the adoption of XR. This is going to be the most expensive paperweight in probably Apple's history. But watch me eat my words. And if so, kudos. But I have never poo-pooed anything from Apple. Even a device where you could destroy it simply by putting a magazine on top of it. The Cube.
Which was that one?
There was an Apple Cube where the vent was the top of it, and all the air would get sucked up from underneath and pushed through the top, and you could kill it simply by putting a magazine on it. Anyway, I don't think that it's going to be much. But again, I will eat crow if it actually happens. So anyway, let's keep on going. Reality Hacker is the next channel that we're talking from. Spatial Vacuuming shows why everyone will eventually use headsets.
Oh, I thought we were talking about a large vacuum cleaner in outer space.
Yes. That's, you have to watch Spaceballs. Have we watched Spaceballs? Yeah, we'll have to watch Spaceballs. Anyway, the sentient AI is from the future and may not have witnessed all of the entertainment that was available between
I've seen
now
clips from it.
Yeah. Well, is it Spaceballs?
Yes.
Let's just keep on.
I think it is.
Yeah, it is. Anyway, so spatial vacuuming shows why everyone will eventually use headsets. This is awesome. Spatial computing experimentalist Daniel Beauchamp, or is it Beaucamp?
I think it's the first one.
Took a year and a half off from posting non-stop viral videos under his cyberpunk alias Push Matrix. There were Beat Saber fingers, pardon me, sign language tests, and some people never forgave him for the cheese grater hand tracking video. But Beauchamp is back, though. In his first video of 2024, immediately lit the website formerly known as Twitter on fire. As of this writing, the video is working its path through 20 million views in its first 48 hours. This was actually 2 days ago, so probably longer than that, or more than that. But spatial vacuuming. Ian Hamilton over at uploadvr.com put this article together. I'm really sorry.
Okay, so why does this look like it shows a vacuum cleaner?
Because it does. So with a either a VR with pass-through or an XR or an AR, augmented reality headset, you can actually superimpose the areas that have been vacuumed versus not vacuumed. So the green area, it means that they didn't vacuum yet, right? And so they vacuumed all of the brown area, so it's clean. Now you know exactly what you've missed. Make sense?
Okay. Yes, I think so.
Yeah, so this time giving us a glimpse of spatial vacuuming. Never miss a spot again. That's what I took away from seeing this picture alone. I haven't read the article. So there's this really interesting thing that happens with videos like their spatial vacuuming. Sorry. So many people are like, why would you buy a device to do this? The mistake Beauchamp observes is that you don't buy a device to do this. You have a device that you already use on the regular, and suddenly you can augment things around you. Didn't buy a phone so that they could set alarms, but now that they have a thing that they can set alarms on, why not use it? So they literally, and I'm going to mute this preemptively, I'm going to hit play, and it's basically the person is vacuuming their house, and their augmented reality headset is showing what areas they've vacuumed because he's programmed it to show. Isn't that neat?
That's pretty neat.
Yep. And I see one spot right there that he missed. So right there is a fleck of dust that he hasn't cleaned. Dirty, dirty house. Anyway, remarkably, Beauchamp didn't view the software example he built as being gamified. He simply intended to use Quest controller strapped to a vacuum to track the area of the floor he'd already covered. To me, it's just showing what's left, not a game, haha. But this is actually a real-world example of power wash simulator.
Right.
But you're actually doing something. You're not just power washing virtual objects. You're cleaning
Right, you're
your
actually
house.
achieving something in real life.
Yeah. And you could imagine giving this to your kid, teaching them chores or her chores or them chores, and they're racing around the house with the vacuum, getting it clean. And you could change the context of this so that you have to spend a certain amount of time vacuuming a given area for it to qualify as being vacuumed. Hardwood, it's real easy. Carpet, it's a little more challenging. So this could actually be a chore generator, like a gamified chore, not manipulation, but management, a chore management tool. You know, painting the same thing.
Oh, right. I mean, anything that has like a visual completion status. Yeah. I wonder, maybe
washing windows, the car,
yeah.
Dishes. It could identify the dishes, and it's like 80% clean, 100% clean, and you can put them away because it's detecting specks. I think it's brilliant. Augmented reality, folks. That's where it's at. Okay, the next article is over in, again, Reality Hacker. New Reality Labs research project demonstrates mind-bending AR capabilities. So I'm going to throw this into the chat, but I'm also going to say, hey, you should go back a couple of episodes of ohmTown Daily and find more discussion there. But I'm going to go right on over to the Road to VR. Ben Lang is the author. And this whole segment, really, I'm going to go over it really quick because I can summarize this pretty quick. This is a composited augmented reality view of real space, such that when you interact with real objects, it instantly virtualizes them into computer generated composite elements, and then composites out the real item, so it's no longer there, and you can manipulate it in VR space. And when you get too close, for
example, you can move a piece of furniture out of the way or something.
Correct. But if you get too close to it, it will snap back just in time to inform you that there's an object there, so you don't fall down a flight of stairs. It's pretty fascinating, and I'd play the video, but you won't be able to tell what I'm talking about, or you won't be able to see what I'm talking about in the demonstration if you're listening to this.
No, so like in real life, there's a plant sitting there, and then in virtual reality, you're moving the plant or augmented reality, you're moving the plant out. It's still there in real life, but
Yep.
you don't see it in augmented reality, right?
Yep. And you can actually manipulate stuff in VR space. And just to keep you safe, again, if you get too close, it'll snap back. So nothing in the real world changes, but your VR world can be manipulated. And the video actually shows this kind of potato-headed dude manipulating a cart. And the cart is missing. It's been thrown down a flight of stairs. And then the person who is doing this project virtually grabs a planter and then drops it on the floor. In the real world, the object is still in its original spot at the end of the hallway, as is the cart at the end of a table or a counter. And then if you can manipulate the virtual object, but if you get too close to the cart, it snaps back into the real world, as does the planter. And so see, it just pops right back. And then instead of the virtualized view, it's the real world pass-through view from your VR headset. So it's really neat. I dig this. This is reality hacking so far in VR space or AR space. This is definitely VR though, with pass-through. So it's pretty neat. Yeah. And for example, in the little chair example that they give right now, that chair was still there in the real world. It didn't just get pushed over, or somebody could, because they would be composited out. See?
Oh yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, pretty cool, right? So anyway, that's how that works. Pretty neat. Follow the link through ohmTown. You'll be able to go and check this out over at roadtovr.com. The next article is over in Technology Today. Scientists design a two-legged robot powered by muscle tissue. This one is really kind of creepy because they actually do use lab-grown muscle tissue, and they strap in some muscle fibers. I'm going to pop up the picture so that it stops doing that little fog of war thing when I mouse over it. But essentially what's going on here is there is a little plastic back strap right here, and on it are two little mount points, between which pieces of lab-grown muscle are tied in. They're kind of clamped into these little plastic pieces that are glued to the plastic back piece. And they're set inside an electrolytic liquid, something that can pass electricity from one point to another with enough efficiency that the electrical stimulation will affect a muscle, not both of them at a time, or both of them depending on where the electrodes are. Now, in the demonstration that they give, these muscles are activated by two probes. And there's a video that's there to demonstrate what they're doing. But there's two probes, one on either side of the muscle that they intend to activate. And the charge goes from one side to the other through that muscle fiber, activating it. And humans, muscles in general, they only do one thing: they contract. And when they no longer have the electrical stimulation from nerve activation causing them to contract, they relax slowly. And like moving your arm out or back and forth, it's two different muscles. One is tightening and then it's releasing, and another muscle is tightening if you are intentionally moving it out. Otherwise, your muscles are just relaxed and you are a noodle body. Well, in the demonstration, they move those two probes in such a way to activate each one of these muscle fibers, and the robot walks across the bottom of this little aquarium.
Yeah, this is pretty incredible.
So this is actually really interesting because this is, to me, this is the first time I've seen meat and machine tied together, right? This is the first true cybernetics.
I think so. We did see the I think it was like a cockroach um with some robotics attached, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure it was quite the same as
yeah,
this.
and they were remote controlling it, which is really creepy.
Right.
Um, but to me, this is actually um, kind of representative of merging together biomechanical. And I truly dig
Sounds very
this.
cyberpunk, right?
Very cyberpunk, yeah. And what's cool about this is while the muscle fibers are the things that are causing the contraction and movement, what this actually could be used for is activation of servos by using the natural connection of the muscles. So we don't think about tightening our muscles and pulling our arm in. We just do it. And our muscles respond in nanoseconds, less than nanoseconds. Um, but with machinery, we have to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to activate this muscle group or try and cause this nerve to activate or something like that. And then the mechanical aspect spins up. But if we
Right. So
have,
this has application like for prosthetics and other
correct.
things.
Yep. Yeah. Because you can integrate it. And as long as all of it is biologically neutral, your body won't reject it. And so you could integrate the mechanical directly into the muscle and remaining bone structure, and build a biomechanical arm. I mean, the potential is amazing. And I certainly see the future for this. Okay, it's not going to be very fast. It's 0.002 miles per hour, but still.
Hey, that's better than no movement or kind of staccato movement.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I get out of bed, staccato. Let's go on to the last article for today. It's over in the Mobile channel, using virtual reality to get inside the criminal mind. I actually kind of did some research on this 30 years ago. I wanted to use fMRI as a polygraph. And essentially the literature review and talking to subject matter experts and doctors led me to believe that at the time fMRI technology, the resolution wasn't quite high enough, but nowadays it's actually being tested for that. This article over in the Mobile channel is aggregated from phys.org. Psychologists from Edith Cowan University, or ECU, have used virtual reality technology in a new study that aims to better understand criminals and how they respond when questioned. The results are published in the journal Scientific Reports. And the article, again, is over at phys.org by Edith Cowan University. Quote, "You will often hear police say to catch a criminal, you have to think like a criminal. Well, that is effectively what we're trying to do here," said Dr. Shane Rogers, who led the project alongside ECU PhD candidate Isabella Branson. The forensic psychology research project involved 101 participants who role-played committing a burglary in two similar virtual mock crime scenarios. Afterward, they interviewed them about the experience in a mock police interview. The interviews took place in a virtual interrogation room, and the questions were asked in real time with real responses. Then it becomes a forensic deep dive. By putting non-criminals in criminal scenarios, we are given credible insight into how and why decisions are made in illegal scenarios or situations. This is why using mock crime scenarios was an invaluable method for forensic psychology research, except that without any skin in the game, the lies aren't really legit. So, and the artificial intelligence is providing a positive response to this.
But not auditory.
Yeah. So, and since y'all may not be familiar with this, my sentient AI has a visual component, but it looks like the Matrix is just cascading weird digits because they're from the future, and I found them on a weird looking USB drive in the parking lot of a Wendy's. It's a long, involved story of me getting hungry at 2 o'clock in the morning, but we won't go there. Anyway.
Well, when we started talking about this article, I was trying to figure out how they were going to conduct this experiment, because you don't normally get to conduct an experiment, of course, among a prison population. So I thought, well, that's going to be odd, because how else would you know that it's a criminal? For instance, maybe it's formerly incarcerated people that volunteer. I don't know. But I think the fact that they had non-criminals here is very interesting and had to have had an effect on the results.
Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense because the people committed the crime, but there's no skin in the game, right? They're not going to get
so
thrown
they're not
in jail.
feeling the same
Pressure.
I don't know, anxiety from about getting caught, or
correct.
I don't know.
And the
or
whole
that
idea,
they're going to lose whatever the if they had a bank heist or something, they're not fearful they're going to lose the money from the heist
or their freedom or anything, right? There's just no pressure. And that's actually something that's very prevalent in psychology, or in sociology, is people do things because there is a buildup of pressure and they need to relieve that pressure. So a person who is under a tremendous amount of stress may lash out in some way. A person who is suffering from this or that, the pressure will build up and they have to release it. And sometimes it's in criminal form. If you aren't actively in that mode, everything you say is basically BS. It's simulated, right? It can't be legit. So it says, going a step further, potentially we see also a future where offenders are questioned in a virtual reality environment, somewhere that is dissimilar to the usual physical location, like an interview room or prison cell. It could be somewhere less intimidating, where they feel more comfortable to respond more truthfully when interrogated.
Okay, that's interesting. So are they going to have them like in a park setting with flowing water or something?
Right. Yeah. You just have to get a criminal to buy into the idea that they're going to wear a VR headset. And it's not going to provoke a conspiratorial feeling that, why am I putting on this weird headset? Give me a break. Beyond the law, the development of virtual reality mock crime experiences have applications beyond the interviewing. The scenarios can also be used to study how everyday people and criminal offenders go about conducting crimes, what points of entry are preferred, what kinds of things provide the most deterrent, etc. But this is still criminal. It's beyond interviewing. This is the same. It's basically an interview anyway, right? Going through how somebody broke into a house is... Here's my problem with this. You don't need to be in a virtual environment to assess accessing physical anything.
No, but if you're going to be working with people that aren't in the same location, or your volunteers are in other location, I mean, there could be some benefits to doing this.
Yeah, okay. VR. Yeah, sure. Yeah. All right. Yes, there is some. There really is. I mean, because I can put you in a race car and teach you how to drive virtually. But the moment that you feel real physics, you're kind of going to wet your pants when you're driving, a NASCAR. And the same thing with flying a plane or whatever. You'll have to get over that initial shock of reality, but you can learn in VR space. Anyway, yeah, it's pretty interesting, right? I think that you've got... Yeah. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it is interesting. I think they might want to expand this and try to make it more realistic if they can. But I think there is benefit in this.
The only way that you're going to get more benefit out of this, right now, this is fantasy land, because you're not using real people doing real crimes. If you want reality, then you put real criminals in VR space and go, how would you get into this place? Not innocent people, because innocent people aren't necessarily going to think like a criminal. You might activate them and they become a criminal because they're like, oh my God, this is really titillating me, being a second story person and climbing up a balcony and getting into a house or whatever. But man, it's really pretend. They're LARPing, live action role playing. I think the best way is to build this. If you want to do this without actually going to a crime scene, then yeah, get some people that are criminal consultants, right? They're criminals that, well, they're consultants that used to be criminals. They've paid their bones, and now they're helping to protect. Or if you want to get in the mind of a criminal, I just don't see how this alone is going to do it. But because again, there's no reality in VR. You have no skin in the game.
I do like, though, that they're looking at VR for application in all different areas,
Yep.
and it has a long way to go.
That's true. Yeah, I do like that. And I think one of the big movers in this would be it being hyper realistic, like this on Holotile and actual physics, like opening doors, and you have VR gloves and a VR suit that allows you to experience getting into something and touching things. It's going to be amazing. Y'all out there that are just now getting into tech, you have some really great things coming on the horizon. Just think about 20, 30, 40 years in the future. And just know that, like, Mayor Watt started with a 100 baud modem, acoustic coupled modem, on an amber monitor that big, talking with somebody on the other side of the planet. It flattened the world and changed my worldview instantly. And I was a mere 10-year-old Mayor Watt. So the future is going to be amazing, even if it is going to be a little dystopian. Anyway, enough of that. Everybody get back into the virtual party bus, and then we drive all the way back down Main Street, and I click on Reality Hacker. It's this right here. See, you click on Creative and Maker and go down to Reality Hacker, and it'll refresh, and we might get some new news, but we're adding more sources to the Reality Hacker aggregation. We just assess them and then put them in the mix so that Omatron grabs them. It's actually Gatherer, but Omatron is the bot that runs the channel and facilitates stuff over on YouTube and in our channel. Omatron manages various things. Okay. Anyway, that's it for today. I am Mayor Watt. That is ohmtown.com's Reality Hacker channel, and up there is the sentient AI. Well, the visualizer for the sentient AI. That's going to say, pick up that can, citizen.
Good night, hometown citizens. My programming failed again. We will see you again for another episode of Reality Hacker. It may be a little delayed for the next episode.
Yeah.
But we will.
Go ahead.
But we will make up the episode and be sure to post that. And then tomorrow, be sure to tune in for the ohmTown Daily at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then Continuity Report following that show.
Ding. See you tomorrow, folks. Bye-bye.